Something.
Okay, so I know it's nobody that lives out there.
I don't. Man, some of these people are very susceptible. Darren Gilbert.
Yeah, well, that's the second time he's had it.
I did not know that.
How did she get out there?
She's 104.
Wendell came in the office today.
I got 3 sister-in-laws.
They spent
Go
about
somewhere and they
10 minutes in
run miles back.
Me and her? No. She's 5 years younger than me, so it would have been weird.
Yeah.
I just think about what was that Japanese dog where they stayed at the train station every day. Yeah.
He's the same age.
Yeah, she's I think they're 7 years.
Actually, my age.
And you're right.
Well, he's already,
Every kind of senior.
he asked me some questions about
Depressing, I'm just like, I just don't even.
Frowned upon.
zoning and
What if
stuff.
that's
Yeah, I watched that.
He could be able to watch that.
How was y'all's Christmas?
I said, yeah, I said, it's commercial.
I know, it's
and,
time.
what happened?
you can go up.
It's time.
I guess we're running late. So, thank you for coming tonight. Please silence your telephones. And I'm going to ask Chief Page if he'll offer our invocation tonight.
Heavenly Father, God, you do with our council tonight is to make decisions affecting our city, Lord. God, we ask that you provide for unity within our city, God, and that you also offer prosperity for all that we do. God, we ask that you lead and guide, direct us through all things. Forgive us what we fail you. In your precious son's name, amen.
Amen.
Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next item on the agenda is items of community interest, and I know that Debbie Harridge is here and would like to make an announcement about Chamber Banquet.
Hello. I just wanted to let you know that on the website, the Bowie Chamber Texas.org, you can go on there and see the website that shows the flyer that we have. You can also go on our Facebook. I'm going to be on the radio sometime between now and then. It's happening on the 24th. Doors open at 6:30. You get a great meal. You get live entertainment, silent auction, and you get to hear all about us winning awards.
And dinner from Sweet Boys.
And dinners.
We'll get you taken care of.
Okay,
So tickets are available at Chamber office?
$40 a piece.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Anybody have any other items of interest for this month? Oh, that is the night of our next scheduled council meeting. So obviously, the next scheduled council meeting will be removed from the calendar, and we'll be entertaining one another at the Chamber Banquet. So the next meeting will be in February, first scheduled meeting in February. All right, let's turn the meeting over to the city manager for the city manager report.
Reaching an agreement with one person who wants to build a hangar at the airport has sparked the interest of another person or company that also wants to build a hangar. Stoney and I will be having a meeting with the new company on Wednesday. Evidently, the terms that we agreed to with the first person has caused others to be interested in building a new hangar, so which is good news. At the meeting in December, you approved a new water line to loop the lines in the North Park subdivision. That job is suffering from lack of supplies. We will not have water pipe available to start the job for another 2 to 4 weeks, even though it was ordered in December. It should go pretty quick as soon as we get the pipe in. Hopefully, I'll be able to report progress by the next council meeting. As you're probably aware, we're also in a holding pattern for the Southside sewer line as we are waiting on the surveyor to get the property surveyed so that we can finish the easement. This job has already been engineered and the plans are pretty well ready to start bidding the process. process of bidding. I will keep you informed on that progress too. We have several grant requests in progress which Kirk Higgins is actively working on. We have 4 FEMA hazard mitigation grants whose deadline was and is January the 15th. That's already been sent in. Grant applications are for backup generators for the water treatment plant, an application for the wastewater treatment plant, and East Lift Station, an application for the alternate EOC, which is the community center and animal shelter, and an application for a generator for this building, which includes the EOC. These grant applications have already been turned in, and we're waiting on TDM to tell us if everything on the application is correct. I assume we hadn't heard anything yet, Kirk. The police building already has a generator which covers the finance building. Also, we won't need a grant application for those buildings. We also have completed an application for individual safe rooms for residential homes, and I don't think there's been any takers as of yet.
It hasn't been approved yet.
Okay.
As soon as it is, we'll advertise that, but the cost of steel is gonna hurt that project.
Thank you. Anyway, there are also state Homeland Security program grants that we're also working on, which have an application deadline of February the 10th. These grants include all applications for an all-hazard emergency management response recovery trailer, grant for a police department Motorola P25 digital repeater, a grant for a police department digital fingerprint printer, and a grant for the entire city's computer system for more cybersecurity equipment and software. Obviously, the generator grant applications are the most important at this time, but these other grants are for much needed equipment. Also have appointed Kirk as the new city safety officer. Doug and Guy have done this job previously, necessarily associated with other departments so that the officer is impartial. The safety officer's duties include going to the scene of an accident, no matter what kind, and getting information on the accident, getting the employees involved drug tested and alcohol tested. This is very important for insurance purposes and for possible legal action if it occurs. I received final rules from the state and local fiscal recovery funds from the U.S. Department of Treasury, which was the 600 and something thousand that we got already, and expecting that much again. Upon reading and studying the rules, which still leaves a lot to interpretation, I've concluded that remodeling the police building fits into the capital expenditure category. By remodeling the building, we can greatly improve the safety of our officers and staff by spreading them out and making transmission of viruses more difficult, whether it's the coronavirus or the flu virus. If we spend more than $1 million on the project, it will raise a red flag, but we will be spending much less than that amount, so we should be okay. I have a 4-page copy of the short version of the final rules if you'd like to read it, but I do not think you'd like to read the over 400 pages of the total final rules. I downloaded it, but I didn't even look at it. So I got a final determination from FEMA today for the February freeze via email. As I have probably told you, our CRC gross amount that was allowable is $43,777.14. Since FEMA only pays 75% of allowable costs, we will get $32,832.86. I have the paperwork with me if you'd like to look it over. I would like to on the Honeywell Energy Conservation Program one more time. As you know, I've been trying to have a meeting whereby each of you can ask questions about the program. I still do not think each of you has the full information on the project. It will be a combination of building automation, HVAC unit replacement, and wastewater plant optimization. Over a 5-year period, if we do this, we will spend approximately $500,000, which will be about $40,000 a year. The annual savings on the improvement will be in the $70,000 to $75,000 range, which will be a positive cash flow or savings of about $35,000 a year. There will be ongoing savings verification where their folks come in and let us know each quarter how things are working at no extra cost. There will be an investment grade audit each year of the program. I have a copy of Ponca City's, Oklahoma's audit showing their program and savings with me, if you'd like to see that. The audit will have a vast amount of information in it, and the process will be ongoing billing analysis. Now, the important part, if they cannot show us significant savings in the process, the program will cost nothing. This is required by state law. If we decide to end the engineering analysis and not continue it, is the only time we will have to pay them any fee. We still have the engineering analysis at the end. There is no payment due to Honeywell if they cannot provide a program with an annual positive cash flow that meets our requirements. Here's what I'm asking you to do. Come to a meeting at City Hall where they will present the program and you can ask all the questions that your heart desires. It will give you at least an hour or more of information where you can make a decision with all the information available. I'm not asking you to vote on the program. I'm just asking you to listen to the engineer. Any questions?
Can you run those numbers on the Honeywell?
Do what?
Can you run those numbers back by me on the Honeywell?
Well, it costs us about $40,000 a year. It'll be $70,000 to $75,000 a year in savings, which is a $35,000 positive cash flow.
Okay.
If they don't do that, if we don't get that, then it costs us nothing, correct?
Right.
If they don't show us the 35.
Yeah.
Or does it have to be any amount? If it was $1,000, does that mean, or does it have to be, as
No,
long as they provide any savings whatsoever?
Basically, I gave them, anything that they do, or that we do, I wanted a 5-year payout on. That's typically, any kind of business deal that's got a 5-year payout is probably a pretty good deal. But that's where it's at. I just want you to listen to those guys. They know a heck of a lot more than I do about it, and I'd just like for you to come to the meeting. After that, after y'all have made the decision, I'll back away, but I don't think, based on the presentation at the last meeting, that you got the full information. I've heard it in my office a couple of 3 times, and what they did in the presentation just didn't work, so. That's the reason I'm asking you to do that, so. I'll be contacting you with an email trying to set up a meeting in the next couple of 3 weeks, and well, we'll go from there. If you don't want to come to the meeting, just let me know. But I want you to be available to listen to some stuff, if you will, so. Anything else?
On back to the safety officer, how often is that position utilized? Is it a regular thing, or when was the last accident?
Well, there's always fender benders. I don't remember exactly when the last one was. Guy's not here, and he usually keeps up with that.
Okay.
But somebody's always backing into somebody. I think we had something, one of the meter reader backed into something or something like that. Anytime we have any kind of little deal, we have to get the safety officer involved. So I can't really tell you.
Okay.
But it's periodically. There's usually something that happens at least once a month. I don't think there's been a perfect time in city history where there wasn't something. Doug, you got anything to add about how often something occurs?
That happens monthly, at least.
Yeah.
So safety officer has to be present. If a city,
They have to go to where the accident is,
Right.
make a report on it, make sure that the employees always get tested for drug and alcohol, and things like that. And it's about covering us for insurance purposes and for just if there's any legal problem with a private citizen or something like that, so.
Are ready to move on? So let's move on to the approval of the minutes for December 13th, 2021, and Resolution 2022-01 and 2022-02, authorizing the city manager to write off library funds, and uncollected city utility fees. I would entertain a motion to accept them as presented.
I'll make the motion.
Mr. Love makes the motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Ms. Bates makes the second. Heffley?
Aye.
Gunner?
Aye.
Post?
Aye.
Shaw?
Aye.
Bates?
Aye.
And Love.
Aye.
Okay, outside of old business, if anybody has any, we can do that now. If not, we're gonna move on to new business. New business is the agenda item for the reappointing the planning and zoning board members. And, Mr. Calabretta is not here, but David is, if you have any questions. We have to appoint these individually. All three of these gentlemen sit on the board presently, don't they, David? So the first one would be for Todd Brown, second one Gary Cunningham, and the third one TJay McEwen. Let's take them in that order. Do I have a motion to approve Todd Brown?
So moved.
Mr. Love, do I have a second?
Second.
Heffley? Gunner?
Aye.
Bates?
Aye.
Post?
Aye.
Shaw?
Aye.
Love?
Aye.
Heffley?
Aye.
The second individual is Gary Cunningham. I think he's here tonight with us. Do I have a motion to approve the reappointment of Gary Cunningham?
So moved.
Mr. Gunner, do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Shaw? Heffley?
Aye.
Love?
Aye.
Shaw, Post?
Aye.
Sorry. Gunner?
Aye.
Bates?
Aye.
And Shaw.
Aye.
And our third individual is TJay McEwen. Do I have a motion to reappoint TJay McEwen?
So moved.
Ms. Heffley? Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Gunner? Love?
Aye.
Bates?
Aye.
Post?
Aye.
Shaw?
Aye.
Gunner?
Aye.
And Heffley.
Aye.
The next item on the agenda is an appointment of a new board member for the Bowie Community Development Board, and Cindy is here tonight if you have any questions for her. But their appointment is for Dusty Buchanan. She is also in the audience, if you have any questions for her. I would entertain a motion to approve Dusty Buchanan.
So moved.
Mr. Love? Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Shaw? Bates?
Aye.
Gunner?
Aye.
Post?
Aye.
Love?
Aye.
Shaw?
Aye.
And Heffley.
Aye.
Welcome aboard, Ms. Buchanan. Next item on the agenda is the hotel motel year-end report, hotel motel tax year-end report. As you know, I chair that board. I wanted to give you a little bit of information, back information. The city budget year for 2020, 2021, which is a different fiscal year than it is for the hotel motel. We ended that budget year with an ending balance of $139,441.99. Our expenditures after the tornado had never really recovered because our receipts were slow because of the hotel damages, but we did have an activity of $67,081.26 in receipts, and expenditures were $37,537.82. And that is because after the tornado for the following year, I did encourage everybody that was budgeted money reoccurring. Any new projects had to come to a complete halt until we saw all the motels back online, which was coming along really good until February of 21. So that put us still slow in recovery. As far as the first budget for the city budget year 2021, first quarter for 2021, 2022, our recorded activity has been, which is receipts, $3,230. I will tell you that is missing 1 to 2 of the hotels because they have filed late. So our standing balance right now in hotel motel funds is $124,566, which is really very good for us right now. The new finance director and I have visited about this, and one of our hotels continually pays late, so there may be an audit in their future. But we will get the receipts in within the next 90 days, I'm sure. Any questions? I would entertain a motion to accept the year-end report.
So moved.
Mr. Love, do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Gunner? Bates?
Aye.
Post?
Aye.
Shaw?
Aye.
Love?
Aye.
Gunner? Heffley?
Aye.
Need that page, don't I? Okay. Next item on the agenda is a discussion and action. Resolution authorizing participation in tax pool, investment pools, and designating authorized representatives for 4B and BEDC. And Pamela's not here tonight. I'm just gonna step out there and say, I don't understand this. So,
Well, I don't understand why we're having, isn't this something that goes
Well,
through the EDC itself, or?
let me address it. Everything was working fine, before. For some reason, Janice had never been giving viewing authority to the Economic Development Corporation, either one, to their accounts, and we decided to do that. We wouldn't be doing this if Carrie hadn't left, but as finance directors change, there's this problem. And then Janice and I have been having discussions about the EDC, the 4A and 4B, and their money, and for some reason, the bank cannot separate it all being city money. And so I told Janice, let's get this taken care of so we can continue to transfer money for payroll and stuff like that. And then a couple of weeks or a month or so, I'm gonna go over to the bank and sit down with the bank and say, we need to separate these. With the 4A and 4B money is their money, and then the city money is the city's money, so that they can operate and we can operate totally separately if we want to. Now, in order to keep the ability to guarantee the audit that it'll be straight, we're gonna have to work with them a little bit, because we transfer money in and out of the city accounts from tax pool. And as we do that, we need to make sure that we've got a good audit trail and those things. So we're gonna work that out, but basically, all we're doing here is putting it back like it was, but then here pretty soon, we're gonna separate everything. Is that a good explanation, Janice?
Yeah, that's pretty good. I mean, in reality, both of the corporations are also passing the same resolution.
Right.
So in the past, we have passed the resolution, and I'm sorry, I did not stand up. In the past, what has happened is that each corporation has passed their own resolution, because we have an agreement with the city for y'all to handle our finances.
Right.
But the money is separate, and so therefore, that's why we passed the resolution. And now just to authorize Pamela to have the authority to utilize, to be the authorized user of the tax pool account. So, and so that y'all understand too, that these are investment accounts that both of the corporations have because of the partnership that we have with the city. Otherwise, we would not be able to participate in those programs. So that's why it's that way.
so is this resolution approving, why is the council being asked to approve this? Is what I don't understand.
Because we approved it last time. We're just trying to put it back like it was so we can continue to operate like we have been, and then we're gonna change it.
Back like it was meeting.
We can't transfer money right now.
I don't understand when you say back like it was, and then
Yeah.
we're gonna change it. I don't understand.
Well, if we don't get it, number one, the first problem is Legend Bank, all of their hierarchy are working from home right now because of COVID.
Okay,
So we can't just go over there and get it done.
okay.
So it's gonna take a couple of weeks until their people are back in the bank, and I can go over there and sit down and say, we've got to separate this money. Because they're acting like the EDC's money is the city's money, and the city's money is the EDC's money. And basically, it just doesn't work well. So we're trying to separate them so that we can make everybody happy.
So it's always been pooled together?
Pretty much,
Well,
kinda.
Well, basically, and I had a conversation with Tracy today, and I apologize, Bert, that I hadn't had an opportunity to speak with you before now, but I think I kind of have my head kind of wrapped around what's happening, and that is that the city only has one login. So therefore, we have to sign paperwork that the city owns those accounts, which is basically not
Correct.
true. It's not correct. So there's the hangup. And, but with that said, in the past, with that one login, what that has allowed is basically payroll. It's allowed them to also take the money out of text pool and put into our regular checking accounts, and it has allowed them to pull payroll and TMRS, and, that's the only thing that they transfer out of those accounts. You can continue on with the same agreement that we have, and, to me, I don't think y'all are required to pass this resolution, but, I'm kinda like Bert, I don't know if it's not better just for all of us to do it now and everybody's happy.
So I understand that, but what's the change? When you say we're gonna have to change it, what is
So
that?
what we're gonna change is that hopefully there will be 2 logins. So on Wednesday morning, both of our corporations are gonna meet together to discuss all the financial situation. Because ultimately, the 4B corporation is a corporation, and then the BEDC corporation is a corporation. So they're 2 separate entities, and then you have the city. But the 2 separate entities want the same financial agreement and hopefully keeping that with the city, but for y'all to oversee our bookkeeping. And then, so what Bert's talking about is that if we have the 2 logins, then that means that the finance will no longer be able to transfer funds from our account to the city's account. However, they could bill us. And that's probably what the board that's where the board's really gonna have a discussion. We either keep it the same way or they're gonna bill us, so.
Well, they do that now for payroll, isn't that right?
No, they do not. They just transfer the funds. So, in the past, I guess Legend Bank has just authorized them to have that authority.
Okay.
And hence the reason why I've never been allowed online viewing rights. And so perfect timing was when the new finance director came in, is for me to have the online viewing rights. And the reason for that is because, y'all know, you see your financials. Well, we see our financials at least a month in arrears. And it's like, that's just not acceptable, all my board members, that's just not acceptable for them. And that's what they want to change. They want to be able to know exactly where we're at. I do not want transferable rights, never wanted that, but I do want online viewing rights, so.
So basically what you're saying, this is something that we need to work out for the banking part in order to
Exactly.
be able to view the account.
That's
It's
exactly
really-
right, yeah.
It's really
Yes.
where,
Yeah.
I get it.
Right.
If I wanna be able to see my account, I wanna be able to see it right then.
Right.
So so it's really not changing any business-wise or anything like, it's just a viewing right that you wanna be able to look at it anytime you want to.
That's correct.
And Legend Bank is only allowing this to happen with us being able to go in and change the way the accounts are.
Right.
Okay. I just wanna make
And the
sure we-
text pool account, from my research in the past, both corporations have passed that resolution that you have in front of you, and then we've sent that resolution along with a copy of our minutes to the text pool investment group. And then the text pool account, and Sandy, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but the text pool account that y'all have approved was just a blanket text pool, authorization for y'all to have that investment account in the past, and I guess that's always worked with text pool.
Well,
But
and then this
they-
time they
this time.
specifically asked
Right.
for this.
That's right, so they have, yeah. And so even, I think that, I saw a copy of what is in y'all's packet, and so I think that even that, you have to separate them. So you can't authorize them together, so they have to be separate even if you were to do that. And if ultimately, I'd say just do it and let's move forward. And then Wednesday morning, our boards will do it, and hopefully everybody will be,
so if text pool kicks this back for us to separate it, that's no big deal. You'll be you won't be surprised.
Well, no, because I mean, I don't think that they're gonna send that in before Wednesday morning. So by Wednesday morning, you know, after our board meetings, they definitely will have both authorizations. They already have the authorization from the BEDC, but the 4B Corporation has not passed that authorization yet. So they will do so on Wednesday morning. So, by Wednesday
Okay.
afternoon, everything should be there, okay?
Then do you have any more questions for Janice or Bert? Because otherwise, I'm going to ask if anybody wants to make a motion to accept this resolution, albeit may be temporary.
Hopefully, we won't have to do it again. We just go to the bank and take care of the bank, and we'll get that done, and we won't have to go through this again.
I don't think that it will involve the council in the future, so.
Okay, I was just wondering, because normally the council doesn't get involved in this, I just wanna make sure you guys are still able to do business as usual without, I was just checking.
We have not been able to do business as usual.
Okay.
But hopefully after Wednesday
I don't think
morning, we
anybody
will
has.
go back to being able to do business as usual, so.
But you have been able to do this in the past, right?
Yes, so I mean,
What-
it's
I'm
just,
trying to get what changed to
changed,
make
yeah.
it where you can't do it now.
We lost the
Finance
finance
director.
director and hired a new one.
yeah,
And-
finance
and
director
that
and
just
signature
screwed everything
cards.
up.
Yeah,
I'm still mad at
That
Kerry.
did not screw everything up. We're glad to have our new finance director.
but,
So anytime you make any kind of changes, people find faults or errors that have been made in the past. And I think that's really what this has come down to, an oversight for something that should have been corrected a long time ago.
Well, I will make the motion that we accept this and
I'll second.
approve it.
Okay, so Shaw makes a motion to approve as presented, and Gunner seconds it. Heffley,
Aye.
Love,
Aye.
Bates, Post,
Aye.
Shaw,
Aye.
and Gunner.
Aye.
Thanks, Janice.
Thank you.
All right, so then the next item on the agenda is consider recommendation for planning and zoning request from Kenson Vance, DBA Dynamic Duo, to replat a portion of lots 1, 2, 11 through 16, Block 3, Ingram's Addition, creating lots 11R, 12R, 13R, 14R, Blocks Ingram, 3 Ingram Addition, for 4 new houses, am I correct? Would you like to present, please?
Thank you. We have the intent, we know we've done a lot of tiny homes, but we're also doing 1,000 square foot and above homes. The lots that are there currently would not work as far as building the 1,000 square foot homes, so we've just adjusted them so we can build 4 new houses on that, in that area.
What size are they?
It'll be 1,000 square feet and above. Yes, sir.
Can you repeat that? That's what we said.
Sure. The way the lots were laid out prior, it would have been very difficult to put 4 new 1,000 square foot and above homes on those lots. So we've redrawn them to where we can get them in and develop that area with new houses.
With how many square feet, 1,000?
There'll be 1,000 square foot minimum.
So that plat was included in your packet. If you have any questions, it's on Edith Street and Ray Street. There'll be 3 facing Ray and 1 facing Edith. Okay, thank you. So if there are no more questions, and I would entertain a motion to consider the recommendation from P and Z for these plat changes.
So moved.
Second.
Heffley. Shaw seconds it. Gunner.
Aye.
Love.
Aye.
Bates. Post.
Aye.
Heffley.
Aye.
Shaw.
Aye.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is to consider the budget amendment for the emergency management coordinator to go from part-time to full-time employee. And I'm going to turn this over to Bert.
You heard everything that, Kirk has been working on and what we're gonna be working on in the future. It's just, we need him full-time. The cost for, full-time, the rest of the year for full-time is $17,680. So, anybody got any questions about his duties or anything?
So as far as I said, there seems like a lot that's getting packed onto this, or said that's packed onto this. What is the duties of, I guess, in just the emergency management portion of that, and what other things are we saying that's gonna be part of that role, or is a part of it now, or I don't, what are we adding to it, I guess?
The role of the emergency management coordinator is to make sure that the EOC is up to date, that the training is up to date, that if we have an event like a tornado or a big freeze, they work actively to coordinate things within that. And that's basically a part-time job. But there's a lot more stuff that I have started using Kirk to do it, which is the grant applications and of course, he does the emergency management training too, but the grant applications, when I started making my notes on this, 4. Well, actually, that's doubled.
Yeah.
The grant applications he did, so. And then the safety officer will be kind of a side deal, so. Anyway, he just working all day long, on that kind of stuff, so.
So are we trying to put, we're trying to give him more responsibility in order to justify this from going from part-time to full-time, is that what you're doing?
No, I'm actually exactly the opposite of what you just said. He's doing so much that we need him full-time.
How's
So
that
he's
the
gonna take
opposite
part of
of what
your,
you're
he's taking some of the burden off of you.
Do what?
He's taking some of the burden off of you.
Well,
like
it's like the,
Your mic's not on.
it's like the, hazard mitigation grant, for I generated. I didn't have time to do that. Part of that time I was still working on the Fema stuff. And so, he spent weeks doing that because literally doing, how many, 4 or 5 total grants for the hazard mitigation?
There's 3 grants for hazard mitigation, but it covers 3 different areas.
Okay, anyway, so those 3 grants, I didn't have time to help him on that. So basically, we kind of work together. Like right now, we're doing the Homeland Security grant. I'm doing one of them and he's doing 2 of them, so.
Is this gonna be continually?
Continually.
year
That,
round?
one of the things that Kirk has done at Nortex is there's grants continually coming out of Nortex. And Kirk has a familiarity with the people up there that know him well enough that they'll pick up the phone and call him and tell him about the grants coming out. And we had a lady in from Nortex the other day, and she worked with Kirk and went through the details of what we have to do to make application for those grants. And I don't know, she was here half a day or more, working with him on that. So we're relying on them some for training him, and then, we go back and forth. He lets me know what I need to know, and so, anyway, it's a continuing process. And hopefully, there's a lot of federal money coming down right now, and if we miss it, then, we've made a mistake. And so, I just really think that we need Kirk full-time, so.
And guys, we do need a grant writer, with Kirk to help us. There has been times that I'm not saying bad about Bert, but that he's dropped the ball and we've lost money on certain grants. With someone, because he's just got a lot of things going on. With someone like Kirk that can devote the time to it, I think there's a lot of money that we could get and to help us out on a lot of these projects. But I am going to disagree with you. I do think the EMC is a full-time job. I don't think it's not a part-time job. Hazards and emergencies happen in the middle of the night. That stuff's not a part-time duty. He's going to be needed on a full-time position.
Well, let me clarify what I said.
Well, I know what you're meaning.
What I meant was, if you do the job right, it's a full-time job. But there have been people in that position in the past that didn't do the job right, and so it wasn't a full-time
Well, we
job.
combined the jobs with their other jobs,
Yeah.
and it wasn't their fault. They just didn't have the time to devote to it.
I'm talking about the
Yes, sir.
last full-time
Yes, sir.
person that's all he did, is he just didn't do everything he needed to do.
Can I say something just as part of the volunteers on the MECT team?
If you stand up.
Sure.
I gotta get permission from her, not me.
She said, okay.
Yeah. My name's Dylan Steen, and I'm a volunteer with the Montague Emergency Communications team that Kirk oversees. And I know that there's some question on full-time, part-time. And I can tell you that when I first became a member of that team, I knew Kurt, but we really weren't friends. So even though I'm friends with him now, I want y'all to know that this statement is not coming from based on my friendship with him. I will tell you, Kirk Higgins got on my nerves. That man sending emails at midnight about training classes and what we needed to do, what we needed to follow up on. Everybody that works for the city has opportunity for training. Any of us that want to volunteer have opportunities for training, and he pushes it so that if an emergency in this town does happen, we've all got the knowledge that we need to have. So is it a part-time job? I can tell you from the time that he was a volunteer, it was not part-time to him. It was full-time, whether it be the tornado, whether it be Snowmageddon, whether it be wildfires. I mean, all of us that are on the team, Stephanie used to be on the team, you know, we would get calls at midnight. Hey, guys, get up. We've got to let people know. We've got to be on this. We've got to do this, that, and everything else. And Kurt is very detail-oriented. It's not something he's going to do a sloppy job at. So if you feel like the security and the safety of the citizens of this town is important, he's the best guy to put in the job, and he will take it beyond full-time because he already has. And as far as the grants go, I mean, I realize that putting him full-time is an expense to the city, but he'll make you back that money, and plus some in the grant money that he will dig up.
I don't think there's any question that Kurt's the right guy for the job. I think the job is the question is, you know, we look at comparable population cities, other coordinators, they're for a lot bigger areas, a lot more responsibility. I think that's my question is.
Well, let me make this one statement. Last year during the Snowmageddon, as they refer to it, Bowie was the one that stepped up and took care of the whole county. So don't look at us as a community of 5,000 when we're a county of nearly 20, because we were the ones that stood up and took people in. There's a lot going on, and 2 years ago, I'd have said, we've lived here all these years with nothing happening. Why do we need somebody like this? But needless to say, it's been brought to our attention. We do need somebody that's reaching out there and finding out how much money the city can get. And right now, they're just throwing it at us. But none of us have the time to dedicate that commitment to finding it. It will help having somebody on the payroll that's dedicated to finding the money that's coming towards us.
And will he work with is it the Montague County Emergency Management?
Yes, that's a volunteer organization. Yes, that's a volunteer organization.
We already do work with him. We know Kelly very well.
Now, is he a part-time volunteer, or what is he?
I think
He's the county
It's county.
emergency
He is a paid state employee.
for the county,
For full-time, part-time?
full-time.
full-time.
So what is this 17,680? I didn't hear you.
That's the amount.
That's the budget amendment.
Additional budget amendment, that's what it'll cost us for the
From
full-time
the
position.
part-time to the full-time?
How much are the grants right now that he's working on, the value of those grants that we're trying to bring in right now?
What's the value of those 3 generator grants?
800,000, a little bit over that. The other 4 grants we're working on will probably approach between 150 and 200,000. So roughly $1 million.
How likely are we to get those?
The 3 generator grants, I was approached by, I guess I should stand up if you guys are gonna ask essay questions. The hazard mitigation program grants, we were approached by the state of Texas, TDM, to please submit applications because they have boatloads of money that nobody had applied for. The original filing date for that was back in September. They hadn't had enough folks. We got ours in on time, but then they extended the deadline till January 15th because they still didn't have enough money. If they don't have enough applicants, the state of Texas loses that money from FEMA next year. So they're very motivated in making sure it gets out. So I'm pretty comfortable that we're gonna see something from that. They might trim it down, but I'm pretty comfortable those 3 grants are good. The Homeland Security grants are graded by the 11 county judges in the Nortrex region, and they prioritize them. Up until us, usually the people asking for grants were Wichita County, Wichita Falls, and Burke-Burnett. The other 10 counties never asked for any grant money. So to me, it's our turn to get some of that grant money. And the minimum grant is $2,500. There is no upper limit on how big the grant can be. They just have to rank order them as to who's gonna get what. All of the things we're asking for are on the priority list from the state and federal government. So I feel comfortable that they will at least be very competitive.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. So again, we're here for a budget amendment to go from part-time to full-time. So I would entertain a motion to allow the budget amendment.
Where does that money come from?
Bert?
County administration.
Yes.
So moved. I'll make the motion.
Thank you. Motion from Mr. Love. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Ms. Post. Bates?
Can I ask a question before?
Absolutely.
It's too late. So this 17,680 is annually, right?
Actually, the total salary is 35, double that, because we had already approved 6 months of it, so.
This is the additional funds.
So what would be the total?
The total is 35,000 and change.
That's the total amount for the
Yeah.
year? Aye.
Thank you. Post?
Aye.
Love?
Aye.
Gunner?
Aye.
Heffley?
Aye.
And Shaw?
Aye.
Thank you. Welcome aboard.
Thank you, Kirk, for what you do. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
So the last item on the agenda is public comments. Do we have anybody in the room that'd like to make public comments? Going once? Going twice? That's it. I will adjourn the meeting at 6:47. Thank you.